Everybody who's trying to learn how to improvise or play jazz are probably practicing their scales and their arpeggios and doing exercises with this, but most of the time they can play the exercises but they can't get into their playing, and that's what I'm going to talk about in this lesson. Of course you need to know your scales and your arpeggios and have an overview of the neck and the key and all those things, but you also have to work on taking all those things that you practice and use it in your lines. And the way I work on this mostly is that I take a small part of it and then I try to compose some lines with it. And the reason why I'm composing is that when we're improvising, we're sort of using all the things that we know and putting them together. And the way I build things that I already know and have in my fingers and in my ears is by just putting it, trying to use it and think about what I think sounds nice and trying to remember what works and then combining that with the rest of the stuff that I already know. So to cover that in this lesson, I'm going to take a simple, very simple Am7 1-octave arpeggio, like this one. I think most people already know this, and if not, you can actually learn it really simply because it's 4 notes. Then I'm going to go over some different ways of playing this, not so much that you need to know all these different permutations and stuff like that, but just to show some of the melodies that you can make just with those 4 notes. And then I'm going to try and go over some examples where I'm using this arpeggio in some different variations, in some lines, and talk about how I come up with it and how I think about the melodies that I'm making. Let's first look at what's possible with our Am7 arpeggio here. So if we just play the arpeggio itself, it's of course this melody, and we can play that descending as well. So we can also play it in groups of 3, so that's kind of like playing 2 triads actually. And we can do that descending. And we can also skip around in it, so if I start on the 2nd note and then go to the 1st and skip up to the 5th, so. And that descending. This is almost like thinking about this arpeggio as a scale and playing it in thirds, by the way. And then if we take the triads, but then play them descending, we can get this. Or the other way around. So in this way we already have 8 different melodies just out of those 4 notes, and I think you can already hear that you can make quite a lot out of just messing around with that. And now we have to put it into a context and try and use it in some lines. And I think the easiest way to do this is just to look at the Am7 as being a 2 in G major. So that means that we have this key. So that's a G major scale, and we have our Am7 arpeggio here. And then I'm gonna make some 2-5-1 lines using this material. The first example sounds like this. So I'm using an alto dominant just for variation. It's not so important what kind of dominant I'm using really, because it's mostly about how I'm using the A minor, I guess. So in this example I'm just starting really simple and just using the basic A minor. And of course you want to start with that, and you can make a lot of different things with there already with this. So if you have that line, the way I'm playing it now is I'm sort of going down to the 5th and then just playing a scale fragment. You can look at that in different ways. You can also look at it as being part of an A minor pentatonic scale, which is of course part of the scale. And you can do all those kind of things. So the idea is that you just sit around and try and see, now I played this, what's going to come next, and then you just have to sort of come up with some stuff. And of course some of the things you're going to come up with, you're going to go, well, that doesn't work so well, but that's actually part of the process. And then you just have to practice the ones that really do work. So that's what I'm doing here actually. Just taking the simple first variation of the arpeggio and just playing it ascending, trying out some different variations on it, and then the rest of the line, well, we already covered the A minor, the D7 alto part is just a scale fragment, and then sort of this cliche E flat minor line resolving to the 5th. The second example sounds like this. So here I'm using the Am7 Arpeggio and splitting it up into two triads. I'm playing this pattern, so a descending A minor, and then a descending C major triad. Then I go down to the root again, so A, and then I run up the scale, and continue up the scale in the D7 altered. And then I just skip up to the C and make this sort of encircling of the A, so the ninth of the G major 7. So the idea here is actually, of course we're just using these sort of triad, cascading triad ideas, and that sounds nice, but it's very much like arpeggio and another arpeggio, and it's skipping around, and there are some larger intervals. And when you have that in line, then very often it makes more sense to sort of vary that by adding some more scale-like movement. So first we have sort of skipping around and larger intervals, and then we get some scale movement. And then I skip again up here. So part of that is that if you first have a part of a line that has a lot of arpeggio stuff, you might want to sort of resolve. Melodically there is some tension in larger intervals, and if you make some stepwise motion, so scale motion, then that seems like a sort of resolution of that. And that sounds less active, and that can work well to sort of couple those two. So if you have first a lot of arpeggio, you want to have some scale, and if you first have some scale, you probably want to add some arpeggio. The third example is also quite active on the A minor line, so that sounds like this. So now I'm starting with this sort of skipping pattern on the A minor, which is of course quite a lot of quite large intervals, and then I'm just running down the arpeggio, which also means that when we get to the D7 altered, I'm coming out on this flat 5, and then it's pretty much scale movement. So just down the scale, and then I'm skipping down a third and then running up the scale, and then from the sharp 9 here I can resolve to the 5th of G. The fourth example sounds like this. So again I'm using sort of this same kind of skipping pattern on the A minor, but now I'm starting on the root. And then I'm continuing when I'm up here. I'm not resolving right away, so I'm skipping up to the 9th to the B. And then I'm running down this, which you could look at as being part of an E minor pentatonic scale. And this pattern I can actually move up a half step and make fit on the D7 altered. And actually it also works if I move that down a whole step and it's still in the D7 altered scale, and then I can resolve that to the 5th. So the idea here is that of course we start with this sort of skipping pattern on the A minor, and then it actually kind of moves to something else, because I'm using this small fragment that I'm then making into a motif that I can play twice on the altered dominant. The last example sounds like this. So if you follow my lessons, you've probably seen this type of line where I'm chaining together two arpeggios before, because it's something I do really a lot, because I like the range that it gives you. So I'm just playing the descending version of the A minor, and then skipping up to the 7th of E minor 7, and then making a similar just E minor 7 arpeggio here. And of course this is again skipping around a lot, so it's like arpeggio movement, and there's a huge range within 8 notes because we're going from this G to this low E. So the line on the D7 also becomes a little bit more calm, and it's much more like a scale type line, and that will be this, which is just running up the scale from the flat 9, and then it's just encircling by leaving out the D. It's kind of encircling the D so we can resolve to the 5th of G major 7. So that was some ideas and a bit of strategy on how to work on getting the stuff that you're practicing for technique into your playing. I think this is a really important topic, and let me know in the comments if you want me to make more of these lessons where I take like an arpeggio or a pentatonic scale or something like this, and then just work through it like this and talk about how you make lines with it, and also talk a little bit about the melodies that I'm constructing in my own examples, because I think it's something that is not being talked about so much, and it's difficult to sort of make general lessons on it. It's easier if you just analyze some examples. So for that, I think this format works really well. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you want to see more lessons like this one. If you like this lesson, then please like it here on YouTube, and you can of course also share it on social media to help me spread the word and get more people to see my lessons, which is a way for me to continue making these lessons also. If this is the first time you see one of my lessons, you can of course subscribe to my channel. I publish new lessons every Thursday, and I've been doing it for 2 years. So there's a lot of stuff happening on my channel, and there's also quite a lot of lessons already there to check out. And you can always ask me if you're looking for something specific. I try to get back to everybody in the comments also. If you want to download a PDF of the examples from this lesson, you can go to my website. In the article that's accompanying this lesson, there's a PDF download of all the examples, if you want to go over them away from this video or away from the article on my blog. When you're on my website, you can also subscribe to my newsletter. That's a way to stay up to date with stuff that's happening. So if I'm playing some concerts, or if I'm releasing new stuff for my web store, or interviews with me that are being published and stuff like that. So you can subscribe to my newsletter on my website. If you have any questions or suggestions for topics or other comments, then you can of course comment on the video, but you can also connect with me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Google+. So connect with me there and let me know what you think, or if you have any ideas for topics or questions. That's it for this week. Thank you for watching, and until next week.